St. Patrick's Day is upon us, so it's time to take a look at one of my all-time Irish classics. Hello and welcome back to the channel, and yes, once again I am taking a look at this Redbreast 12. It is probably my go-toist of Irish whiskies. It is the one that I recommend most to other people, and the one that secretly, if I'm just taking a dram for myself, is the one I'm most likely to pick from, at least out of my limited collection. I've tried its older brother, and well, frankly, that was also incredibly delicious. I yearn for a cask strength version. I'm not saying this is the very best, but as an entry level product for the Redbreast range, well, yes, I do think it is something a bit special. But that said, I tried this for the first time when, truthfully, I'd only had a handful of cheaper Irish whiskies, some of which are still fantastic, but it was easy for this to make a good impression on me. I hadn't had anything of this caliber from the Emerald Isle, and today that has changed. As I said, I've had some of their more premium options and premium options from other distilleries on said isle, and yeah, I want to know if this still stands up as being one of the best possible Irish options for your St. Patrick's Day festivities right now, for me at least, in 2025. So let's get into it. A quick visual on the bottle. It is a lovely looking thing. Deep, rich, green glass, nice, bright labelling, and it's pretty heavy as well. It makes for a proper kind of robust bottle of whiskey. It is just a nice looking thing. If we take a look at the front of it, it said Redbreast single pot still Irish whiskey. Now, Irish whiskey loves to slap the words single pot still onto it, and what does it mean? Well, it simply means the single refers to the fact that this comes from a single distillery, i.e. it is not a blend of products from multiple distilleries. The pot still is simply the type of still that's quite commonly used in Irish whiskey. You can go look up the differences between that and other still types. The thing though that makes Irish whiskey particularly Irish whiskey is the triple distilled and matured line at the bottom just there. It is that extra distillation. They run it through one more time than the Scots do, and as a result ends up in something a bit more refined. You see with vodka in particular, they like to tell you how many times it's been through the distillery or the distilling mechanism, process, whatever you want to call it, and what that does is it refines it. It makes it, in theory, smoother every single time, but of course it also strips out some flavour, which is maybe why Irish is a bit more agreeable for more people. It's certainly not a bad thing, and I do fancy it some of the time. So let us get a dram poured for the St. Patrick's Day. If you're watching this on release, St. Patrick's is tomorrow, but for the rest of you, it'll either be on the date or in fact in the past. So, little dram to start. It looks like a nice gold, middle of the road drop of, well, Irish gold, really. It is not much to talk about. It's not excessively dark. It's not particularly straw coloured. It's, yeah, what you would expect. Do they say that this is uncoloured, though? I'm not sure if it does. But yeah, that is all really to say about that visual. So aroma-wise, big, sweet, fruity. It's distinctly like sweet shop candy rather than like fudgy vanilla. It's quite a bit sherbety, perhaps. It's really got that kind of edge to it. Off the back of that, it leads you into some kind of zesty lemon tones, and there's a spice, there's a richness. It's dry, kind of, you know, ginger, nutmeggy. It's nice, that. It really is. It's not the softest, and I think the reason that I fell in love with it is, look, I'm not saying Irish whiskey is boring by any means, because that's not the truth. I really, really do like it, but some of them are very, very, very easygoing. The aroma suggests it is more than that. It is rich, it is punchy, it's zesty, it's spicy, it's even got some of the oils from the wooden barrels. Feels like it's permeating through into the liquid. It is, yeah, very nice indeed. Decently complex without being difficult or offensive. So let's give it a go. Cheers. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Yep, it still does it. Now, of course, I've had this many times since opening this bottle, and the fact that there's half a bottle left of this is really quite impressive, because Mrs. Crummybeard does like a drop or two of it, but she's clearly not been stealing that much from the stash. But big, rich, nutty, even a little reminiscence of Christmas cake perhaps. You know, it's got the dried fruit, the nuts, the sweetness, but overall Christmas cake, for something with that much sugar in it, still somehow comes across as being not all that sweet, or at least not sickly sweet, and that is very much doing the same thing. It's, well, got a little bit of a boozy lick at the back there. It's warming for sure, but never kind of tickles your throat, never makes you cough, or it hasn't for me at least. And the bourbon barrel influence is coming through. I see it more now. I've tried a lot more bourbon since I first tested this, and yeah, some of those darker tones you get in those more advanced bourbons, things like Wild Turkey Rare Breed, that kind of leather tannin meets peanut shell thing. It's, yeah, not there in great amounts, but there is just a tip of the hat to that origin, and well, yes, that is a damn fine dram. On the aftertaste, there is a touch of vanilla that kind of carries on and lingers, a little bit of that kind of woody spice too. I'm going more cinnamon than anything else, just because the dryness of it, and yeah, that is very nice indeed. But how do I feel about it if we pitch it up against one of, well, an Irish whiskey that I've tried much more recently? And that, of course, is Green Spot. This is actually quite a bit cheaper than the Redbreast 12. Not hugely, but relatively speaking, it's a good bit cheaper. And it is 40% or 80 proof versus Redbreast's, where are we? Or exactly the same, 40%, 80 proof. So, you know, it's similar in that respect, so it doesn't get a cop out from that. This, people were surprised how much I like this, but it just, the flavours just strung together really well, and it was just, yes, not the most complex experiences as I recall, but the flavours just worked. So, I say, I tried this for the first time much more recently, and also Mrs. Crummybeard quite likes this bottle as well, because as you can tell, not much left in that one, considering how much newer it is compared to the Redbreast. But visually, there's not much in it. They've both got rich kind of tones. I dare say the Green Spot may be coloured, because it has got a load more colour to it, but again, I suspect we're not going to find out immediately. Oh, interestingly, both are owned by Pernod Ricard. I've just realised reading on the back of that. But yes, anyway, let's give it a go, shall we? Cheers. It's softer, it's lighter, more fruited, still in that kind of citrusy realm, but Redbreast much more kind of rich, depthy citrus peel. This much fresher, kind of fresh orange juice almost, and the long flavour on this, the real stick around thing, is fruity, but it goes into more of like a quite acidic apple. It's got some layers of some sweet tones in there, a bit of vanilla, becomes pastry, and I said about it before, it becomes like an apple pie almost, as that all-in-one sensation. It just grips together really, really well. The realisation I've just had is, I need to double check that this is true, the viscosity, the bite, the depth, the consideration, the nuance in the flavour of Redbreast does actually just thrash this completely. Yes, it's cheaper, but there's not really any competition. That Redbreast is an absolute stunner still, after having tried a damn sight more of Irish whiskey since first opening this bottle. So there you go, this is your St. Patrick's Day treat, and this is mine, so I'm gonna go finish these. But happy St. Patrick's Day to you, and that really is all I've got to say about it. So as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you haven't already, subscribe if you'll be so kind, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.